My name is Marcel Mamula. I am solution architect for SAP Automation in SUSE. And today we have interesting session about the Ansible and some details because, as you know, it's coming with SLES 16, so it would be good to know more before it's here, right? So today's session will be all oriented about SAP and automation about SAP, which is the reason why we are focusing a little bit on SLES for SAP itself. Just small note before we start, it's good to remember that SLES 16 is not here yet, so something can still change in between that time. Our agenda for today, we have few points. We will focus on what's coming with SLES 16, then something about our upstream initiative, then focus on actual pieces of the automation itself, collections and playbooks, and then how to use them, because that was always the pain point with how to start with them, how to use them, and how to customize them. So this is what we'll be focusing on later on, including live demo, and hopefully some questions and answers. So when we are talking about SLES 16, this was one of the messages we put in our blog post when 16 was being prepared. And that is the fact that Ansible is coming, and it does not mean so it is going away, so it stays, because it's still used by Multi-Linux Manager. So it's there, we are not removing it, but we will be increasing our focus in Ansible area. This is important screen. Please take a note of the small note at the bottom. This is the current state, and it can still change before we get to the release, because as you know, with Python releases, you never know. And there are still some open discussions happening about what version is being shipped, because there are a lot of libraries and other plugins that are tied to the Python, which has to be tested and approved. So currently, what we have scheduled is Python 11. It comes from both SLES 16 and SLES for SAP. With that, we are testing now and validating Ansible 11 and Ansible Core 2.18. There were some CVEs in 2 versions back, so we jumped to the latest version. Testing went through well, so this is the one that we are currently planning for. There is stark difference here between both sides, as you can see, because for SLES for SAP, we are shipping it also with automations. SLES 16 will get the tooling, but SLES for SAP is getting the automation themselves. Because as you know, SLES 16 is not validated, certified, and supported for running SAP or SAP with high availability. So this is all tied to SLES for SAP, and the same goes with the automations. Okay. So that was a small description of what's coming in those versions. And this is some details about our upstream project. So this is called SAP LinuxLab Open Source Initiative. We are a group of SAP technology partners. So this is us, SUSE, Red Hat, IBM, SAP itself, NetApp, and community. We are all working together, and you can find us under SAP LinuxLab on GitHub. We have also a website that is mentioned on the GitHub as well. And all we do is we work on Ansible, and we are providing automations for SAP. They are working both for SUSE, Red Hat, IBM, and for all of us. Of course, we have some kind of objectives together that we want to achieve. Biggest one, which is fostering collaboration, which is great, which is why I love this upstream project, because there's no fighting. When we develop and bring some new features for one technology partner, it comes from others at the same time, and it's supported on both or all sides, which is why we'll have to contribute there, and our community is also helping us with that. Just a small example, I was developing some new feature last year. It went for SUSE based on our documentation, but it went live together with the Red Hat part as well, because we wanted to be ambiguous on all ends. So this is our target, to make sure it runs for all the partners. We are trying to implement all the scenarios that we can support and that are documented. We are also communicating with our customers and users, so this is also reflected in what we are doing. And we are also keeping up with SAP nodes and vulnerabilities, of course. So now we can go and deep dive a little bit in bits and pieces, of course. So first collection is SAP install. That one you might know. Of course, this is our biggest collection. This is collection of automations for data automations that are all for application layer. It works for both on-premise and cloud providers. This will be coming in SLES 16 as part of package Ansible's SAP install. And it will be installed as the collection when you install the package itself. Since I mentioned this is the biggest collection we have, it means we have a lot of roles. All of them are designed, built for specific purpose, which means this is why they do not have overlap, and they are meant to be run in specific order that is a little bit drafted up on the screen. So it goes from the top to the bottom, and it goes the same. So for example, SAP Storage Setup is there for you to set up all your storages, volumes, LVMs, partitions. It works for both on-premise, for cloud providers, and it's also good for new provisioning. Same for pre-configure. We are running and setting up all SAP tune parameters as well as packages that are needed for given product based on SAP documentation that you can find in SAP notes. SAP install media, that one is a little bit different because when you provide the media that you want to install, you need to actually go through it and make sure it's good. So sometimes some media need to be unpacked, so this is taking care of it. And based on what it finds in the manifest files, it's able to actually list through them and separate them based on what you are doing. SAP HANA install and SAP SWPM, those are both roles that are meant to be running their respective installation executables, which is HDBLCM and SAP Inst. So those are very extensive wrappers around them. Then, of course, HANA application and HA pacemaker, which can cover all the different use cases for HANA and ACS-ERS, and now recently for SCS-ERS. Next collection is SAP infrastructure. That's for provisioning of servers themselves. This is provisioning for cloud providers, and it works through Ansible or Terraform that is executed by Ansible. I mention it here because there are two options, but our main focus is Ansible, of course. Because Terraform can do it, it's more powerful, we know that, but it's not smarter. So Ansible is what we go for as the primary provisioning method. It's packaged in Ansible SAP infrastructure package, and this is a list of our currently supported platforms. We have few more in experimental mode, including VMware, KubeVirt, OVirt, but they are not listed here since they are in experimental mode. You need to remember something with SAP infrastructure. Even though I mentioned the package is there, it does not mean it works by itself. There are multiple reasons for that. Main reason is the licensing. The other reason is we cannot package third parties that do not allow it. So whatever you are provisioning, you need to follow documentation. This is example for AWS, where you need to have Python boto3 to actually run AWS CLI commands, and Amazon AWS collection in Ansible. So this is all documented. We have it provided, and we have it linked in the package itself. Also, as I mentioned, Ansible is smarter, but not more powerful. So it has some basic requirements before you actually execute it. With Terraform, you can provision all of these elements in your network, but with Ansible, they are needed beforehand. So this is one of the differences. And of course, SAP Operations, which is a smaller collection of day 2 automations. This is packaged in Ansible SAP Operations package. So this was small overview of collections, but collections are tools for us, right? We still need to drive them. So we have playbooks for that. What I will be showing you today is sneak peek into current work in progress build of playbooks we have. It contains full overhaul of everything that we had so far, like 90% is rebuilt from scratch. It includes different methods of execution, including full interactive mode, also fully non-interactive mode with all the inputs. Everything is simplified and made easier to be used. So what you see, as I said, is still subject to change, and it will be coming live very soon. Playbooks for SAP, currently we have more than 20 different deployment scenarios. They are all spanning different products, and they are all in different configurations, for example, from sandbox to production-like systems, including highly distributed systems as well. So this is a good example to see how it's being built. This is packaged in Ansible SAP Playbooks, and since this is not something that you can install with Ansible Galaxy, it will be also on the same directory. So USR share Ansible. This is some simplified overview what you can expect when you look at the playbook. Of course, simplified means really simplified, because playbook itself has hundreds of lines, and this is just an overview of what's happening, because they are all meant for provisioning, but you do not need necessarily to provision with them. That's the big point that is coming with this rework, because you can still use them for your own servers. So you are not tied to provisioning. But this is example for end-to-end execution that contains provisioning, which on the left side you can see this is automation for provisioning of servers. So it's executed from the local host or from your execution node. And on the right side, this is just the breakdown of the roles that are being flown through, how it goes based on this example. This is for SAP HANA HA. So you can see it goes through all SAP install roles that we had mentioned in the previous slides until it gets to cluster and when it's finished. So this is super simplified just for example. Do not take it as a real playbook, please. And this is breakdown when you look at the same example, but shown from the perspective of the collections themselves. So you can see how they are breakdown based on their order in execution and what they do. So provisioning, you can see we have SAP Infrastructure, SAP VM Provision, and Temp VIP. Those are both setting up and preparing new servers for installation. Once those are finished, of course, servers are ready. So you can run all pre-configuration roles, then prepare, which means downloading and preparing the media, then installation itself, and then, of course, HA if it's needed. We have, of course, as I mentioned, we have different use cases, and they are all in different scenarios. So the notable ones are, of course, BW for HANA, ECC, HANA, NetWeaver, S4 HANA, Solution Manager. If you look at HANA, it comes in different flavors, from Sandbox, Standard System, HA. S4 HANA comes with Sandbox, Distributed System. So there are different variations, and they all differ on what is entered as the input for the given system, like how it's going to look at the end. But the playbook themselves have only small variations. For example, existence of HA execution for HA system. Please keep that for questions and answers, but yes, I will answer that, don't worry. So as I mentioned, one of the points that was always painful was how to start with it, because we all had everything mentioned on GitHub. It was there, but it was not very clear, and we had a lot of feedback saying, it's too painful, I don't know how to start, this is not clear. So I tried to concise it a little bit, and it will be also much easier with this new update. So in 16, we have, of course, pattern for SAP automation. It comes under SLES for SAP product. It's called Patterns SAP Automation. There is some pattern discussion happening now, but the name should hopefully stay because that would make sense. If you do not like the pattern, of course, you can pick and choose what you need based on the packages that we listed before. So they are on the right side. Patterns is, of course, recommended because it contains everything. I wanted to mention here a little bit consideration before we go into more details, because as you know, I'm not sure if you know, but in Python 3.7 or 3.9 there was a little bit of change that screwed up Ansible. It's related to future feature annotations, and it increased the requirements for Python. So since we have jumped to 3.11, it means that it works for 16 to 16 communication, but if you are trying to deploy something on /15 from 16, you need to install Python 3.11. On /15 SP5 and higher, Python is present, but it has to be installed, which can be done using raw module that is mentioned here. My example playbook that I'll be showing later on contains this module, so there's no complication, it's just installing Python. So this was the main consideration that was needed to be explained, because you cannot expect this kind of backwards compatibility out of the box. Situation is a little bit different if you are using cloud images, because those have Python pre-installed. So we have two methods in this case. This is full end-to-end provisioning. So what do you need to do? When I mention Ansible for infrastructure, you need to provide those first elements. Then you just need to install the pattern, the dependencies, since you are provisioning, and then you pick and choose what you want to do, enter the inputs that you need, and you run it. So at this point, it's simplified to the point that you only need the minimal inputs, and the playbooks themselves and the variables were all cut down to the core minimum that you need for run. This is different because when you run for existing landscape, you don't need to do this, of course. You have your own servers, so you just need the pattern itself, and you need to distribute SSH keys. That's it. That's your starting point, and everything else what you run is all based on the playbook you selected and the variables that you provided. So main difference here, you just need to distribute SSH keys and create an inventory. Otherwise, everything is same, and you don't need to provision, you don't need to set up an environment. You can do it like that. So I have, well, let's just say short demo. It shows you the recent changes that were mentioned. So this is /16 server in the latest version that we have for our testing purpose. I prepared it with some initial packages. So it contains Ansible core in the versions I mentioned, and it has SAP install, SAP infrastructure, and SAP operations in place. So all of these are, of course, listed in Ansible Galaxy, so they are present there. And as it goes, as I mentioned, playbooks are installed, but since they are still work in progress, you do not see them here as the package, of course. I prepared some small help for me, so I don't have to copy everything. So this is location of playbooks that were mentioned. It contains similar structure that was shown on GitHub on the upstream. So here's separation with the deploy scenarios, where you can find the scenarios. Currently, this is a small segment just for this demo session, where you can see 4 different scenarios, plus the one I prepared for demo session. So you can see HA, HANA HA, S4HANA distributed, S4HANA sandbox. When you look at those, of course, it's good to see them from a file perspective. So this is the VS Code, and it seems like it's visible, which is great. So this is the same content. I'm just showing it from my local host, so I don't have to rely on network in this case. So as you can see, this is the breakdown. It looks a little bit different if you have seen the playbooks before, because I broke down all the variables, everything. So it's easily reusable based on what you need. Because before we had files with thousands of lines, and it's not possible to update it. And I just gave up because it was too much for me. So currently, it's all pick and choose. So you can go and say, OK, I want to build SAP HANA. You just copy it, right? So that's my system. I'm building in AWS, so I don't care about the rest. I get rid of it. And great. And now this is all I need. I don't need anything else because I'm running AWS. So all the inputs I need to provide are in this file. This is definition of my server that I'm going to be deploying. So all the inputs I need are in this file. So this is the definition of the host. All the non-platform specific are in here. So this is all definition for provisioning, for system, for its users, the product that you are selecting, and the playbook itself. So this is all about picking and choosing. So this is the example of how you would just go for the selecting your playbook that you need to run and what you want to do. Of course, usually customers and people are using it in a sense that they have one cloud provider. So you can just get rid of rest and run it for what you need. Same, of course, applies to the new functionality, which is full interactive mode, which is available in optional. So all of this is here for people who want to start with it and who want to just follow guided step-by-step guide that will take you through what you need to enter. If you already have all the inputs, you can also get rid of it. And this is all made for this, that whatever you need, you can run with it, and you can run it in lightweight mode. You don't need everything here. And that's how it should be. So I will switch to my example here. So this is my demo example. I can run this folder on AWS. I can run it on my servers that I have in Prague data center. I can run it in interactive mode and build AWS server as well. And this is all coming from this one folder. So this is the server where I was. I will just select HANA demo, where you can see the same contents as there. And as I mentioned, there are different ways how to execute it. So we redesign it in a way that the expected scenario is that whoever runs it knows Ansible, of course. So that's expectation, which means you provide your own inputs. They are all documented, so this is expectation, which means this is why those last two commands apply to that. Of course, if you are not experienced, then there is interactive mode, which we can go through. So since I mentioned this is pure interactive, it means the input variable file is super lightweight, which means whatever it has is just a pure baseline. So everything else will be asked for using a new interactive mode. So in this case, this is the first question. I'm using Ansible or Terraform? And then it will go through all the steps. And same, am I provisioning somewhere or not? So all of these steps are guided installation that can take you there. And you can be sure it's painful to test it, because if it has 50 inputs, it's not fun. I had to write scripts with expect just to do this testing, so yeah. It's good to start with it, to test it out, but this is not for daily use. This is for people who want to get familiar with it. So I will not be going through that because I don't think we have all patience, and it would not be fun. Okay, good. So I'm back on my server, which is good. As I mentioned, I have all three cases tested out, so you can follow all of those three, interactive, non-interactive, and existing servers. So just for the posterity reason, I will run the one that is here as the last one. I have my own servers. I don't need to provision. The provisioning is not the mandatory step for any of those automations that were mentioned here. And this will just go, and you can see this is installing Python 3.11 on /15 machine. So raw module that was mentioned before. Currently setting up the disks, preparing software, setting a VNV for preparation of software. So everything is here, and only thing that I had to do was for me to set up the inventory, pointing it towards my servers, setting up SSH keys to point to those servers, and then the inputs. Those inputs, of course, for existing servers are a little bit different because you do not need all the platform-specific variables, so your inputs are much, much smaller. This provisioning was not working before, so now this is fully working, so this is a big change as well. So these are all configuration steps. So this is currently checking packages, running subtune verification. There'll be some warning messages here because, of course, if something is not good, it will fix it. So this is the provisioning where you go like this. And of course, as I mentioned, AWS execution is the same. Just for me, it means that I had to define AWS-specific inputs. And there's the only difference here. I'm not pointing it towards the existing servers. I'm just telling him, go here to this account with these details, with this bastion host and provision. So this is how you can use it. We have 3 different modes. Of course, the most common one is non-interactive mode, and then interactive mode is extra. So this will be coming in for the upstream release itself in coming weeks. It will be staggered release, of course, because we cannot do this for all the deployment playbooks, because I'm already more than 15,000 changes in my pull request, so this will not be fun. As I said, this is full overhaul of the playbooks, and they are much better in this case. So this was mentioned that this is currently in progress, but of course this is not everything that is happening, because we have some big ticket items on what we are doing as SUSE and as upstream collective as well. So we are working on different scenarios. We are working on different features, like implementing different HA solutions, like scale out that was mentioned. Also, for example, in last year, we added the SAP HANA SR NG, which was mentioned in last SUSECon, and instructed that this is the solution for HANA. So, of course, this is covered and working. Same goes for ASERS different clustering. So, those are all the scenarios that we are trying to implement and cover for all operating systems as part of the initiative itself. So, our big focus is on HA, so we are covering all that we need, because when we look at other roles like SWPM or HANA, those can do anything already, because those are wrappers, so whatever you need to do, you define it using the inputs. We have some focus planned also to improve idempotency, because everything that was shown is idempotent except SWPM, because SAP does not like idempotency, so we have to make it for them, of course, because SAP Inst will destroy your system if you run it again. So we have to take care of it, and we will add it because that's simple for us. So HANA is already in place. Only SWPM needs to be improved in that sense. Everything else is idempotent, and as the result, either it will fix whatever is not in place, or it will validate and skip. So idempotency in 2 different ways. Of course, we are communicating with community, so we have active community members in our GitHub. So we have fixes coming from the upstream, as well as we have fixes coming from the people using it and customers. So whatever we have is coming also from all ends of SAP technology partners, and they are all going to upstream. What I have found on upstream, the same content will be inside of those packages, with few exceptions, of course, because we can only package what we can support. So that's what you need to remember. This is our plan. Of course, this is not full commitment, because this is something that we can just say it's still happening all the time. But if you ever saw our change logs and what's happening, that even now we are setting up for release 1.5.3 for SAP install, and it has more than 100 commits already. So our releases are fairly big because we have a lot of changes happening. And now, those questions that you needed. Okay? You can go first. Yep.
Thanks. Very interesting talk. I really like the idea. Will those Ansible collections also be published on, let's say, something like galaxy.ansible.com? Or maybe SUSE fans to have their own Galaxy or something like that?
Okay, so question was if the collections will be available at Galaxy or other means. So in this case, since we need to support it, they are coming directly from our packages. They will be under our namespace, but you cannot find them in Galaxy yet. We are discussing if it's worthwhile to put it there, because once we put it there, we would have to support it also from other means, and you would be able to run it on a system that you should not be able to run it on, which could pose the risk to both you and us and everybody else. So from that perspective, we are still thinking about it, but this is still open, so I cannot commit on the answer on that.
But the code is on GitHub, so in case I have any feedback or feature.
Of course, upstream is there, and we are fully communicating with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's github.com/SUSE, I think, or
No, github.com/SAP-LinuxLab. Right, it was mentioned. But you can also reach out through our email, and we will get back to you. So there's no issue with that. Mm-hmm. Yep. A scale out question?
No, I can speak. For SAP Central Services, currently there are two offers. One with the classical file system and Ansible now.
Mm-hmm.
So with this playbook, which one is?
So question is, what kind of central services modes are there for installation? So I have implemented all the modes that exist, including those that we don't support. So currently, you can install ACS ERS in ENSA 1, ENSA 2. In ENSA 2, you can install it in a classic mode, which is the one that is using file system resource agents. And you can install it including simple mount. So it's fully implemented, it works, and I implemented the same for SES ERS as well. We do not support cluster for Java, but it's there. You can test it for yourself. Is it answered for you? Mm-hmm. Yes?
In the interactive mode, are there defaults? Do you have to specify some?
Interactive mode at this question. What are the defaults for interactive mode? So interactive mode at this moment has more than 1,300 lines just for the interactive mode. And I managed to add almost 70% of the inputs as the defaults. A lot of the things you can default on, but there are still things that you have to decide because you are driving it. So it's made in a way that there are a lot of steps that you can just skip with enter, and we just go through them. And all the steps that are there are mentioning the input that you are giving it into, which means that you can save it and then create your own variable file based on that. Okay, any other questions?
How long will it be for SAP? Do you need the download the core and run in scripts?
Okay, so question is about availability of SAP media. So it was mentioned briefly on one of the slides with the process, how the roles are processed. And it was mentioning a role called SAP_download. SAP_launchpad. That's upstream role that is available. We will be making it available in Package Hub as well. It's not coming as part of the pattern, and it will be available separately. It's present in all the playbooks. So if you have it, it will download software for you, and you don't have to care about it. You just need to provide as user credentials, and it will get the software for you. But the playbooks are enhanced in a way. If you don't have it, it will skip it. So you are still able to source it from NFS or from folder of your choice. Yes. Mm-hmm. But we have some plans to improve it as well, because of course, as you know, SAP loves to change file names when they remove patches and stuff like that. So we cannot commit file name for X years to, in the future, because SAP will change it in next week. So we'll be improving SAP Launchpad as well to take care of that, because we can already search for new packages separately in other automation. So there will be improvements there as well. Thank you for listening. And if you have we had listed here other sessions based on our team, but we are almost at the end of the SUSECon, so I'm not sure if you will get a chance. But if you need more, you can go to our SAP booth in Technology Showcase, and you can let us know if you have any kind of feedback or ideas for improvements, or you want to get in contact. Thank you for listening.